Can you hear him?
Can I hear Rob?
Yeah.
He's very faint.
Okay, Rob, can you turn yourself up? I can't hear you at all. Can't hear you at all. Hi again, everybody. Welcome to the CMU Sideliners program, live from O'Kelly's Sports Bar and Grill in Mount Pleasant on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network. I'm Don Scheido. In the background, you can hear the head coach of the Chippewas, Dan Enos, going through some game tape with the folks here at O'Kelly's. It's one of the features if you get an opportunity to come down here early and check it out. You get a chance to meet some players and then watch Coach kind of diagnose the upcoming opponent, which this week is Ohio. The Bobcats, a very good team. They come in 4-1. They've won 4 in a row after losing to Louisville early on. So they're going to be a tough opponent for the Chippewas on Saturday afternoon. It's homecoming for the Bobcats as well. So the Chippewas will have to deal with that. And we'll be on the air at 1 o'clock, kickoff 2 o'clock, live from Athens, Ohio. Chippewas and the Bobcats on Saturday. Well, coming up on the program tonight, Dan Enos will be here in just a little bit. We'll chat about the big win over Miami and now another victory, hopefully, over an Ohio team in Ohio U coming up this weekend. Also, Mose Risen will be here. He's the wide receivers coach for the football program, and star receiver Titus Davis as well. Then we'll turn our attention to CMU women's soccer. Peter McGahee, who's celebrating a birthday today, will join us. We'll talk about the soccer program 2-2 in the Mid-American Conference. And they've got Toledo and Northern Illinois coming to Mount Pleasant this weekend. Toledo tomorrow at 4 o'clock, and then we'll see Northern Illinois on Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. And Grace Lebrecht, the goalie for the soccer program, will join us as well. All that coming up as we continue along on the CMU Sideliners. Join us after this timeout right here on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network. Sideliners program on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network. I'm Don Shido. This segment is presented by PNC Bank National Association, member FDIC, PNC Bank for the Achiever in You. Joined now by the head coach of the Chippewas, Dan Enos. Good to see you.
How's it going, Don?
Good. Congratulations on the nice win down at Miami. And as you talked about, some weather conditions that weren't exactly friendly for you.
Yeah, we had a little lightning delay.
How do you handle that as a coach?
Well, what we did was we kind of wanted to keep the guys focused, so we treated it kind of like a 30-minute position meeting. So we had each group get with their position coach and really hammer out every play that we had run offense and defensively, what our opponent did, and what we did, and how that matched up to what we thought we were going to see. And we kind of used it as a mini halftime to make adjustments or whatever. And it was I thought our players handled it with great maturity, and I thought our coaches did a great job of communicating. Just what we'd seen. Hey, this is what we expected. Hey, we've seen a little bit more than this than maybe we thought, and we got some good adjustment time in there. And guys got out of some wet clothes too. Took the opportunity to do that. Some of our players. So we just try to keep the guys active, keep them talking, keep them communicating, and talk about the football game.
It came at kind of a strange time because it was right after the touchdown, and you guys had some momentum. And I don't know how you feel about that as a coach. You kind of like to stay on the field after you just scored because everything's starting to go your way.
I was hoping they were going to cancel the game, to be honest with you.
At that point, call it?
Yeah, I said, maybe they should just call it. We're winning right now, but that doesn't happen, I guess. But, yeah, it was kind of weird, to be honest with you. But I'm glad we did score because our guys had some juice when we went in the locker room, and it was real excitable, and it was real positive energy.
Have you been through that as a player or as a coach before? You've had some weather delays?
No, I've never
Really?
had a lightning delay before. No, so it was a little different, and over the last couple of years, I guess I've seen it, and then I didn't mean to, but I actually asked a couple guys, like, what'd you guys do?
Right, sure.
So I'm glad I did now, but and then kind of like what we just talked about, most of the guys I asked a couple guys, they said the same thing. They just used it as a time to have another meeting and just keep the guys engaged, though. Don't let them wander and lose focus and lose that intensity and lose their mindset of it. You work so hard to get them in the right frame of mind, and then to go in the locker room and have 30 minutes of downtime can obviously be a detriment to that.
You have so many friends and associates out there in the coaching world, and you guys talk all the time about what your program's doing, about what another program's doing. How much do you pick up from ideas you get from someplace else and incorporate them into what you're doing?
A lot, just going to different places. Like I went to the New Orleans Saints mini camp in June. I spent 3 days there, watched 2 practices, sat in quarterback meetings, sat in other meetings, and you don't change everything you do, but you get little subtle things that you go, that's a good idea to, in this special team drill, or you'll get a drill, or you'll get a period in practice, how they work their red zone, or they work their 2-minute drill, or how they do a walkthrough in between practices. You're constantly coaching is teaching, and you're constantly learning. And Morris Watts, who's obviously on our staff and has had a great influence on me, told me when I was a young coach, when I would go see him, he'd say, when you stop learning, get out. Mm-hmm. And even Coach Watts is always very impressive to me because he's probably run every play that you could possibly run, but he's always trying to learn. He's always very receptive to new ideas. He never acts like he has all the answers, and I guess as a coach, I think that's a great attribute to have, is that you're constantly learning and trying to get better.
And the game changes over time. You talked about going to this 4-2-5 defense because of what you're seeing on the offensive side of the football, with everybody trying to spread you out, bringing in all the wide receivers, a little different than what you saw maybe 10 or 15 years ago.
Oh, the offenses are way different, and the defenses are way different too. As you mentioned, everybody catches up, but I tease our players all the time, like, the bubble screen wasn't even invented when I played. A bubble screen, I said I could have thrown for a lot more yards if we would have had bubble screens when I played. I never took one snap. I played quarterback from 5th grade all the way through college. I never took one shotgun snap.
Really?
Ever.
Wow.
Because we just never did it. And now you tell somebody, like you said, like, these quarterbacks today just kind of look at me funny, like, what? And I'm like, I'd like to stand back there too sometimes,
Yeah. Some of these guys spend their whole time in the
shotgun,
and then they go to the next level, and they don't know how to take a snap.
Absolutely, that happens too now.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Miami game. You go into that contest and had some turnovers the week before, and I know that was one of the things you were trying to avoid. Again, you got bit with the turnover bug a little bit early on in that ball game, but you were able to run the football, and it looked like as the game went along, you were able to run it even more, and then your offense sort of settled down in the second half.
Yeah, I think we had a turnover early, and we got to get Coop off the schneid. You know what I mean? And I think he bounced back and played very well in the second half. But the running game was very effective, especially in the second half, and that's going to be a key ingredient as we move forward. And Sailor Lavalle and Maurice both, I thought, ran the ball very well. I thought Titus Davis had some big plays, and then Anthony Rice came in and caught some bubble screens, and those were big plays. And I thought that our offensive line and tight ends really took control of the football game, and I thought we wore them down.
Cooper was struggling a little bit, and you went to the ground game, and Sailor had 25 carries for 151 yards. Maurice 10 for 51 and a score for you as well. And you're starting to develop that nice 1-2 punch at the running back position, aren't you?
Yeah, I think I said this last week. They're a strange group, those running backs, and they seem to function better when they watch another guy go out there and get a 15-yard run. They kind of, next time they get their carry, they got a little more pep in their step maybe or whatever. But I think it does a lot of things. I think it motivates them both, and also keeps them both fresh. And you don't have one guy wearing down, having 38 carries and things like that. And I think it's good. I think they both run a little bit differently too. And Anthony Garland's a guy that'll continue to play too. And it's like we always tell them, whoever's having a good day and making yards and running hard and has got a good feel for what's going on, they're going to get the majority of the carries. And it might be you on one day, it might not be you on another day. But I thought both those guys were very effective Saturday.
Well, if you're able to run the football, that means the offensive line is doing a good job. You had the injury early to Mr. Olson is a big part of what you're doing on that offensive line. You had to shuffle things around a little bit. Where are you at with that group?
I think we're starting to get a little continuity. Connor Collins is kind of settled in as our right guard, and Ramadan Ahmedi is kind of settled in as our left tackle. And I got to remind myself all the time that I think Rami started 3 games or whatever, and Connor started 2. We got to kind of remind ourselves of that sometimes, I think, because Andy and Nick and Kevin Henry have played a lot of football. So those 2 guys are settling in, and Coach Cummings does an outstanding job with them, and they're getting better every week, and you see them get better every day in practice.
How much does it help them to have those 3 veterans around them throughout the game and in practice?
Huge. It's huge. Rami's got Andy Phillips right next to him, and Connor Collins has Nick Beamish right next to him. So those guys are very, very helpful. They've played a lot of football. They've seen a lot of different things. They really understand what we're doing, and they understand how Coach Cummings wants to communicate it as well. And that's the key. That makes them a cohesive group of 5.
Cooper struggled a little bit in the first half. I know you guys talked to him at halftime and everything about his performance, and it seemed like you guys as a unit, I thought, played much better offensively in the second half, and it seemed like you were in the flow of the game that you saw with the way your defense was playing so well. You felt that you were going to be able to control the football, and maybe 21 points would be enough to get a victory, huh?
Yes, absolutely. We thought, we got to 14, and I thought, if we can get to 21 or 24, I thought that would be enough because, again, I thought our defense was dominant in the football game. And, and then we started running the ball. And the big thing is that we need Cooper to do in situations like that is make plays on third down. And we had on the one drive, I think we had a 16-play drive. He hit Titus on the shallow cross for a first down. And then the big one was that 3rd and 8 where he scrambled out and found Deion Butler on the sidelines and got a huge first down for us at that point. And that's what we needed him to do, and he did it. So to his credit, he made some big throws when he needed to. The most disappointing thing, I think, was when we had a turnover and we got the ball in the 19 or 20 and ended up with no points.
Right.
I think we were, we can't do that against moving forward against these good football teams. We got to come away with at least 3, but we should be knocking on the door to get a touchdown in those situations, and we didn't do that. That was disappointing.
Why was your defense so successful against Miami? They've had some struggles on offense, obviously, but you guys did a great job.
I think our defensive line was a factor. I think anytime you have a game and you feel the other team's defensive line, it's usually a bad thing for the offense. And just during the game, I felt like we were getting push and we were getting pressure. Even when he was throwing the ball, we were hitting him, and that's usually a good sign. So I think at the end of the day, it came down to that our defensive line, I think, pushed around their offensive line.
It's funny, normally when I look at the tackling stats after the game, I pretty much know who's going to be there. And as well, it's going to be Shamari, it's going to be Justin.
Yep.
But this time, Latarius Walton in second place with 7 tackles for you and a sack and 3 tackles for loss. And it kind of speaks to what you were talking to. Maybe for the first time this season, we really saw the defensive line get back there and create some havoc.
Yeah, I think I think it was real good for our football team, and you also got to look at the fact that we're getting into league play now, and I think there's going to be some offensive lines that we're going to be able to play very well against. And I think I haven't seen. I'm sure Northern Illinois' offensive line is going to be very good, but Toledo's offensive line, I have felt for the last couple of years has been one of the best in our league. Mm-hmm. And we played them, and I thought our defensive line, it was back and forth, but we thought going into last week against Miami, we thought we could make a difference in that group, and they did that. You've
had some injury problems on that D-line. You've got a lot of depth right now. Where is that all playing out?
Well, we're still going to be short Matt Lozanecki, which is hurts us inside. We got about 5 or 6 ends that we're playing. We're playing only 3 guys inside right now. We need to get Matt back because we lost Jabari Dean and we lost Ben Randall. And those Ben and Jabari are gone for the year. They're both 300 pounds. I don't know like most people, but we don't have like 8 300-pound defensive tackles that can play.
And you can't make up for that size.
No, you can't. Big, strong, powerful guys that can move. And so LT, Schaefer Johnson, and Kelby Latta. Kelby Latta is another guy who had a very solid performance, and so did Schaefer. Those 3 guys have been holding it in there. I think when we can get Matt back and we got 4 rotating in there, we'll even be better. Well, obviously, we won't have Matt this Saturday, but hopefully against Northern Illinois we can get him back.
Well, it's a great win against Miami. One of the negative things that came out of it, I know from your perspective, is that your good buddy Don Treadwell no longer with the program. And you talked a little bit about that, and I just wanted to ask you your reaction because you guys have been close through the years. You coached at Michigan State together, and you never like to see that in the profession.
It's sad. It's really sad. It's sad, and it's the best way I can say it, because he's a great person, he's a great coach, but more than that, it's really going to have a huge effect on those student athletes and those coaches. And what kind of message are you sending to the seniors and the student athletes in that football program? You let a guy go after 5 games, and his non-conference schedule is brutal.
Oh yeah.
Playing a new quarterback and the whole deal. They're very young in a lot of areas, and you give the guy 2 seasons. I don't understand it, especially a guy with the character and integrity that Don Treadwell has. It's sad for our profession.
Well, Coach is going to stick around. We're going to turn the conversation to the Bobcats of Ohio and the long trip down to Athens when we come back. So keep it right here on the CMU Sideliners, presented by Fabiano Brothers, proud distributors of Bud and Bud Light, right here on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network. Farmers are proud to provide post-workout chocolate milk for CMU student-athletes. Nutrient-rich chocolate milk helps athletes refuel and rehydrate after intense exercise. Well, it's going to be intense Saturday afternoon as the Chippewas head down to Athens, Ohio on Friday and get ready to take on the Bobcats. It's homecoming for Ohio. Ohio's red hot. They lost their opening game against a very good Louisville team, and Teddy Bridgewater and company. You're glad they're not in the schedule, aren't you?
Man, they're good. You watch that video? I mean, that guy is he makes it look real easy, like the great ones do.
It's tough to deal with. Well, they've reeled off 4 in a row and playing some good football, just beat up on Akron pretty good. And, you know, we talk about it all the time. When you look at an opponent like that, so nice to have that senior leadership at those key positions, running back, quarterback, some other spots. These guys that have been in the program, you talked about Tettleton being around, seems like 8 years, kind of what people thought about Dan Lefevre when he was here. He seems like he's been around forever, and they're just very consistent. Solich has been there for 8 years. They just have that continuity that you really need to build a program.
Yeah, they've done a tremendous job, been very consistent, very well coached. You know, like you said, they got a lot of seniors. They got seniors in the right spots, and they're good. They're a good football team. They're very solid in a lot of different areas.
Well, the Chippewas have had some success against Ohio over the years, some big wins. They get some championship games and win some championships. When you look at this Ohio team, the one thing that jumps out at me is the defense, and especially when it comes to limiting teams from running the football. Obviously, something you want to do. They're first in the Mid-American Conference against the run, only giving up about 126 yards per game. What has made them so tough against the run?
They do a great job of playing within their scheme, and they're very disciplined. And they, as I showed on the video, they do a really good job of getting their secondary guys involved in the run game. So the 8th guy, the 9th guy, sometimes that you can't block, and those guys are up there into the line of scrimmage. So, you know, you have to make them at some point pay for that. Mm-hmm. You know, if they want to continue to in your 2-back sets get 9 guys within 5 or 6 yards of the ball, somebody's got to win outside, and you got to take a shot, and you got to make some big explosive plays that way. But they do a very good job what they do. They play a lot of guys on the D-line, similar to how we do it, and they tackle very well, and they're very aggressive. And the big thing is, as I mentioned, is that we got to run the ball, but we're going to have to make some plays outside.
Well, Titus Davis will be here in just a little bit. I'm sure he'll want to talk about that because that's one of the guys you rely on to win some of those battles. And you know, pick your poison. You want to come and crowd the line of scrimmage, put 8 or 9 guys in the box, then you got to deal with number 84 on the outside. And what are you going to do there?
Oh yeah, he's tremendous. He's very explosive. Can't say enough about him as a person either. His work ethic and everything. And he's a great young man, and he's a tremendous player. And you know, we've got some other wideouts too. You know, Andrew Flory is very, very talented. Courtney Williams is very talented. Jerry Harris is a very good player. Anthony Rice is playing very well right now. DeFerrell Davis, our speedy flanker, will get some playing time Saturday too. So we like our receiving core, and we've challenged them this week. You know, we're going to have to get open, and Cooper's going to have to do a good job. We're going to have to, you know, get back, play action, however it is, set our feet, and we got to get the ball down the field.
You talked before the season when we chatted, and you mentioned you thought this group was the best in the MAC, and they've shown flashes of that in certain situations, and Titus has really been the constant there with what he's been able to do. But I don't think we've seen them as a whole in that one game really explode yet, have we?
Not yet. We haven't. I think, you know, against New Hampshire when we had to throw the ball in the second half, you know, you saw Jesse Kroll catching balls, and Andrew, and caught a touchdown, and Titus was really good. I think that was kind of what we can do. You know, in some of these other games, you know, we haven't had to throw the ball quite as much, and so they haven't really had to be at the forefront, if you will, and they understand that. And, you know, in these weeks to come, we're going to need some plays out of them, and I agree with you. I don't think we've seen a great complete game from our wide receiver core yet, and hope we get it Saturday.
Are you seeing defenses compensate for Titus Davis in certain ways, and that's creating opportunities for other guys already this season?
You know, North Carolina State was tilting, especially on third down. They were playing a man on and then a man over the top, or Robin to his side, and you could see them. And then last week, it was more of not so much to take Titus out, but it was like, okay, we're going to play a lot of cover 2 against Miami, 2 deep. So he had a guy on him, you know, help trying to stop him from releasing off the line, then a safety over the top. And that's one of the reasons why we started pounding the football, because we had good numbers inside. And so it wasn't so much, I think a lot of it was tilted towards, hey, 84's out there. We don't want to play a lot of quarters and or play man and have a one-play drive on us. At least if you are going to score, you're going to have to dink and dunk it, and you're going to have to run the football down the field. And it's actually it was a good plan, and it took us to be very patient and a 16-play drive,
right.
and I think we had another 12-play drive or something like that. And that's hard to do for a whole football game because there's going to be miscues somewhere in there. So we're probably going to see some of that, but if we can continue to run the football effectively and play good defense, we're going to force people to get out of some of that and give some people outside some more opportunities.
Are those some of the toughest throws for a quarterback when you've got somebody playing deep, somebody playing short, and he's trying to wedge that ball into that kind of intermediate
Absolutely.
zone?
It's difficult. And even Saturday they were dropping 8 a lot. So you drop 8, and those zones even become smaller now than when you drop 7. It's hard. It's hard for the guys on Sunday to do it. So,
exactly.
And the big thing you can do against that stuff is obviously it's very obvious is run the ball and try to stay out of those third and very long situations.
Well, I would think the guys are licking their chops with the thought that they might get some man-on-man coverage after what they saw at Miami.
Yeah, I think we're going to get some opportunities outside where we'll get some quarters coverage where the outside guys will be isolated, and then they're going to play some man coverage too. And we got to protect, and we got to put the ball up, and then as we tell the wideouts all the time, there was 50-50 balls. We got to come down with some of them.
Let's talk about your defense a little bit. We mentioned the defensive line, and the linebackers have been very steady all season long, exactly what we expected. What about the secondary? When you look at that group, and we've seen some different faces back there from time to time, what are your thoughts on how they're playing?
Better.
Yeah?
Better. You have Kayvon Frazier and Brandon Grille, who both are in their really first time starting. So this year, both true sophomores, played as true freshmen last year. I think Kayvon's getting better, and I think Brandon Grille's gotten a lot better. I think Brandon's been very inconsistent to this point. I think Coach Archie Collins, our corners coach, has done a tremendous job with him. Dennis Naylor's played a little bit back there with him as well. But really, the constant guys, Jason Wilson and Jarrett Chapman and Avery Cunningham, those three guys, I think have been very solid, and we need them to be. We need them to be the stabilizers back there. And Jason Wilson, man, he's a playmaker.
Sure
he's around
is.
the ball. He catches the ball. He's a great young man too. He's a very good student. He's a 3.0 student, and he just has a knack to be around the football. And when he gets an opportunity, he makes plays.
And that's an area where a lot of turnovers come from. We've seen some picks already this season from that group, and they continue to do that for you. And as I talk to you about keys to the game for Ohio, I know what's going to be right near the top, right?
Turnovers. We got to win that on the road against a good team. We
Right.
got to be +2. We got to try to come out +2. I think that's going to be huge, and we got to win special teams, and we got to protect the quarterback. We got to win outside, like I said, and then defensively we got to tackle very well. We got to tackle, and we got to try to pressure Tettleton. We got to try to hit him.
What do you expect from them offensively coming at your defense?
I think they're going to try to run the ball and play action and take some shots over the top. I think that's kind of their MO. They want to run the football, and when they get their opportunities, they're going to play action, try to get those safeties involved, and try to throw the ball up over the top. Our corners are going to have to be very good Saturday.
Finally, as we wrap up here, I want to ask you a little bit about Coach Risen, who's going to join us here in just a minute. He was a member of that national championship team here back in 1974, and you've been fortunate in the fact that you've been able to bring back some guys who have ties to Central Michigan, and he's one of them.
I think it's very important that we have people here that are from here and play here and understand the tradition. And Mose and George Rickomstrict and Butch Berry and Plaz and Mike Cummings has been here a long time. Those guys can really sit down and talk to our players about the tradition here and what it was like here when they were here, and the things that they were trying to uphold every day. And and so when we went out looking for coaches, and you can find a quality coach that played here,
Right.
You can't get a better combination than that. So Mose does a great job with our wideouts, as does George and Butch and those guys. But Mose is a veteran coach, very experienced, very talented, and does a tremendous job.
He'll be with us in just a second. Final question for you. How much did that victory help your team? Not only got you back on track from a winning perspective, but to get a road win on the MAC isn't easy.
It's not. And to know that we're going right back on the road this week, that's something I didn't say to my team, but as
Fabiano Brothers, proud distributors of Bud and Bud Light. I'm Don Shido. This is the CMU Sideliners program, joined now by wide receiver Titus Davis, the junior out of Wheaton, Illinois, and also the wide receivers coach Mose Risen, who's back with the Chippewas. Coach, welcome. Good to have you here.
Thanks, Don. Glad to be here.
Titus, good to have you back.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Tell me about this season for you. Once again, you're near the top when it comes to yards per catch in the nation, like you were last year. Do you notice that stuff? Do you look at that as a player? I know you're caught up in what you're doing.
Not really. I just try to focus on the game and just try to play.
Coach, what about Titus as a player? It's got to be gratifying for you to have somebody like that has that ability and has really led your group for you.
Don, I'll tell you, I've coached a lot of football players. I've been a lot of different places, and I can tell you, honestly, Titus is a tremendous football player with a great work ethic, and I'm very excited to be his coach.
What about this season for this club so far, Titus, in your eyes, when you look at where you're at right now? How big was it for you to go on the road and get that win at Miami?
That was big. We needed that. We had a couple of losses, and, as a team, we had to go into Miami and play a great game and get a win in order to get this season rolling.
Coach, what about you? You've been around a little while. You've been in environments where you've gone through a season, and a victory really can spur you on, especially when it's coming at a time when maybe you struggled a little bit.
No question. I mean, we've gone through some growing pains. We've had some injuries that obviously affected our game plan. We've been able to overcome some things, and some things we have not been able, obviously, to overcome. But, anytime you got a losing streak and you get a win on the road, you beat a good Miami football team at that, you got to be excited about, obviously, the next weekend. We're very excited about this weekend.
Titus, let's talk a little bit about how you ended up at Central Michigan. I'm not going to talk about where maybe some other members of your family decided to go to school, but let's focus in on you. Tell me about recruiting and coming to CMU and how you ended up in Mount Pleasant.
On my visit here, I just liked it. I liked everything about it. The one thing that really stood out to me was probably the coaches compared to all the other programs. They were really involved and just really friendly and everything. It just felt like a family atmosphere, and I loved it.
And how do you feel now that you're into your third year here and you've had the kind of success that you've had? You haven't had maybe the team success that you wanted. How do you feel about your decision now?
Great. After a couple of years here, I feel like I made the perfect decision, and the 3 years I've been here, and I think I've done pretty well. So just trying to keep it going.
You're being asked to do some different things this year and return punts. Did you do that in high school, and how do you feel about that as an added role for you?
I did in high school. Punt return, I really take pride in that. And actually before the season, I would bother Coach Rising about doing it because I really wanted to do it, and he let me do it. So I'm really happy about that.
And Coach, that's a fine line for you, right? I mean, you want to give him every opportunity because he's got that kind of talent, but at the same time, you open him up to, knock on wood, possible injury with the way those guys are flying around out there during those, aren't you?
Well, absolutely, Don. I mean, it's open field, and obviously it's something you think about, but at the same time, I think anytime you can take one of your best offensive football players, one of your best weapons, and give him an opportunity to perhaps touch the ball 2 or 3 more times during the course of a ball game. And Titus obviously has the ability to perhaps break a long one. And so not having to do it on offense, but he can do it on a special team, makes us even, I think, that much tougher to defend from that standpoint.
Do you have certain rules back there as somebody who's getting ready to take a punt that if it's, depending upon where you're at on the field, if you're inside the 10, you're going to call for a fair catch if the ball is up in the air for a certain time, or is a lot of it by feel for you?
For me, I don't really like to fair catch too often, so no matter what, I try to take the ball out. But if it's inside the 10, I try to let it go. I know there were a couple of times I took it out this season and Coach ripped my face off, so I'm going to try to, let the ball go from now on when it's inside the 10.
How does that work, Coach, when he's getting ready to take the ball? Can he feel the pressure coming down at him or peek and take a look, or is he waiting on calls from everybody else? How does that work?
Well, from a coaching standpoint, you obviously want him to focus on the football.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we have some rules. We play averages. We play the punter's average every week. He has a rule. Anytime the ball crosses midfield, his heels go on the 10-yard line, and they can't move. They're not supposed to move. Mm-hmm. And so if the ball obviously is kicked over the 10-yard line, he's going to let the ball go. So we do have some rules.
I haven't seen a situation yet this year, maybe I missed it, where you really have taken a big shot maybe on a ball you thought maybe you should have fair caught. How close is that for you when you're in that situation? Can you actually tell if you got somebody really bearing down at you at the last second like that?
Oh, yeah. I try to peek as much as I can while the ball's in the air, just to get a feel and to see where all the defenders are. But they haven't been too close this season yet.
Well, that's good. Your other guys are helping you out, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Titus going to stick around. Coach Risen, we're going to come back, chat a little bit more about this Chippewa receiving corps. Remind you that the YP app is the sponsor of this segment. With the YP app, YP.com site, and YP Real Yellow Pages directory, you can find everything you're looking for locally. It's everything you want, all in one place. Back with more on the front row, the CMU Sideliners program, right here on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network. Back on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network. Fabiano Brothers, proud distributors of Bud and Bud Light here on the CMU Sideliners program. Mose Risen is here along with Titus Davis as we're talking a little CMU football. Coach, take me back to 1974. That was a very special year. And Titus is smiling. Have you heard some of these stories before, Titus?
A lot. Yes.
For those folks who don't remember that year, walk us through it a little bit. And you guys had a huge win at the end of that year to win the national championship.
No question. I'm going to take you back to the time or the opportunity which I had to make a decision to come to CMU. And I was obviously, being from Flint, had a chance to visit several schools in Mid-American Conference, and I wanted something different. Came to Mount Pleasant, and for some reason, I found CMU to be very attractive from that standpoint. And so I obviously found the difference that I was looking for, something different. And then, Don Petty, who was a long-time running backs coach here, was my coach, and I coached this program a long time with Coach Kramer. And that particular year, I remember a lot of outstanding football players committing to CMU, and I'm saying, man, I tell you, having a chance to be a part of that group was something that was, obviously excited me, and so that was one of the reasons really why I came to CMU. We came here, and it was the year obviously prior to us going to the Mid-American Conference. We're going to move to Division I. We had an outstanding year. A lot of good things happened. We won a lot of football games. We had some outstanding football players. I was a true freshman. I was on the kickoff return team. I mean, that's pretty much what I did. I was a backup tailback as a freshman. Mm-hmm. I was not a starter, but I did start on the kickoff return team. And like I said, I can go through a lot of names. Mike Frankowiak, Walt Hodges, Dick Dunham. I can go on and on and on. I was very fortunate to be a part of that football team. Winning a national championship was really a special moment for me in my CMU career, and so got a lot of former players that I've spoken to since I've been back at CMU, and we still talk about that championship football team.
I bet. A moment that's been shared with Titus Davis and the rest of the crew quite often, huh, Titus?
Oh yeah.
Tell me about this group. Coach Enos has talked about this group several times as being the best in the Mid-American Conference. I know that's something that you guys are striving for and take a lot of pride in, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. We have a very unique group. Just a group of guys that work hard day in, day out. And just everyone wants it. Everyone's in it 100%. And, we all get along. And that's, one thing we really like, in the receivers room, everyone's cracking jokes. We have fun. But when it's time to go, it's time to go. And that's one thing I like about this group.
When you look at the skill set of everybody, besides yourself, who stands out to you as somebody that maybe we haven't seen all they have to offer yet?
Definitely DeFarrell Davis. He's probably, if not the fastest guy on the team, he just flies, flat out flies. And we'll get an opportunity to see him more as the season goes on, and you guys will see. So see what that looks like.
And final question for you. Tell me about Ohio a little bit. Coach was talking about the fact that you're going to have some opportunities to, what they call win. You're going to have some man-on-man coverage at certain times, and you got to relish that opportunity.
Oh, yeah. Just one-on-one, I love that. That's one thing you love as a receiver, just the one-on-one coverage. And we've seen a little bit of that, and, we try to take advantage of it as much as we can.
Well, Titus, thank you very much for stopping by. Coach Risen, always a pleasure. Good to see you again.
Donis, pleasure as well.
You guys get on the bus. We'll see you down in Columbus and get ready for the trip to Athens and go beat the Bobcats, okay? Make it 2 in a row on the road.
Absolutely looking forward to Fire Up Chips.
All right, going to come back, talk a little CMU women's soccer after we remind you that this segment was brought to you by the MorningSun.com. Visit the MorningSun.com for the latest sports and news updates. The Morning Sun in print every day, online all the time. Back with more on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network after this timeout. Back on the CMU Sideliners program presented by Bud and Bud Light. Fabiano Brothers, proud distributors of Bud and Bud Light, right here on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network. Hey, this week's Members First Credit Union Scholar Athlete of the Week is Sadie Reynolds of the field hockey program. A native of Prospect, Kentucky, she has earned a 3.21 grade point average, helped Central Michigan open Mid-American Conference play with a victory on Saturday at the CMU Field Hockey Complex by making 3 saves in the cage for her second shutout of the season. Chippewas defeated Ball State 1-0 for their second straight win. Reynolds leads the MAC with a goals against average of 2.02. Sadie Reynolds, this week's Members First Credit Union Scholar Athlete of the Week. Members First Credit Union making a positive difference now with 2 locations in Mount Pleasant. And joining us now is last week's Members First Credit Union Scholar Athlete of the Week, Grace LeBrecq, who is the goalie for the women's soccer program. Good to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
What'd you think of that honor? That was pretty special.
Very grateful to have it, to have the recognition. I really appreciated it.
Well, you earned it not only with your performance in the classroom, but your performance on the field. How much of a juggling act is it for you to maintain that sparkling GPA and still get to practice in all the games and everything else you're asked to do?
It takes a lot of work, but staying busy kind of helps. Just managing your time correctly, and we've had a lot of practice over the years, balancing the time.
We also have the newest member of the 40 and over club, Peter McGahey is here, the soccer coach.
Thank you very much for having me.
Are you taking a lot of ribbing today, the big 4-0? Congratulations on the birthday.
Thank you very much. I don't think I'm taking very much ribbing. I seem to have forgotten the ribbing that I'm getting today. Maybe that's because I'm 40.
Well, it comes with age. You'll be okay. Let's talk about where your team is at right now. You got a big weekend coming up. You see Toledo tomorrow at 4 o'clock, and then Northern Illinois Sunday at 1 o'clock. And this is one of those swing weekends, isn't it, in the Mid-American Conference?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of momentum to be gained from this weekend. A lot of things will sort of not necessarily settle out, but I think there is a lot of deciding in what road the path and teams will be on following this weekend.
Let's talk about your adventure through the MAC. You won your first couple, and you lost your last 2. Where's this team at right now?
Right in the middle. I think we're finding our way through. I think we had a great road trip down to Kent State and to Ohio U. I think that was very good in terms of how we found success in those 2 games. And to come home, I think with all fairness, I thought we got Western. We could have taken our chances a little differently, but Eastern we definitely caught on a hot streak for Eastern and caught them on last Sunday.
Grace, how are you feeling about things now that you're into the Mid-American Conference play a little bit, and what's your impression of where this team is at right now?
It's exciting to be in the MAC, and we're just focusing on one game at a time, and we're looking forward to this Friday.
For folks who don't know, tell me about where the MAC is at right now and how this is shaking out and trying to get a conference title and what you're trying to position yourself for.
The race for the MAC is there's sort of 2 races that go on at the same time. One is that you're looking for the race of the regular season to have a high seed to host playoff games. And then the race is once you're in the playoffs, then is to win the conference tournament to get that automatic bid to the NCAA tournament.
Is it looking like this is a year that whoever wins the conference tournament is going to go to the NCAAs and that just might be it? Or
I think so.
So that even places a greater emphasis on trying to position yourself well for that conference tournament, huh?
The challenge I think of is the only golden ticket in any given year to the NCAA tournament is the MAC tournament title. So you really have to have that as your goal. And I think that the challenge is sometimes is if you're counting on it the other way to go with your non-conference schedule, sometimes that makes it certainly more difficult.
Well, the birthday boy and Grace are going to stick around. We're going to come back. We'll talk a little bit more about your season and Toledo and Northern Illinois coming up this weekend. But first, we need to take a quick time out. Back with more after this break on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network.
Yeah. Rob, this is our last break, right?
Allows you to earn points for attending CMU athletic events and venues. You can use your points for discounts and free food from local merchants like Qdoba, Little Caesars, and Celebration Cinemas. Stop by the Fan Central kiosk at all home events for more details. Back on the CMU Sideliners program, presented by Fabiano Brothers, distributors of Bud and Bud Light. Don Scheido, along with Grace Lebrecht, and the head coach of the women's soccer program, Peter McGahee, who celebrated a birthday today. And Grace, a little celebration post-practice, and the big present for him was he had a good practice. He didn't get all agitated or anything, right? So it was a good day for him?
That's right. It's the simple things.
Simple things that count. All right, let's talk about this weekend. You get Toledo tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Coach, tell me about the Rockets.
Toledo historically is always a team that has had good success in the MAC. I think Brad does a fantastic job in terms of getting them organized. I think they're going through a little rocky patch this season, and sometimes this is the hardest one is that you don't want teams to come out of their rocky patch against you. So we're really looking forward to putting a good effort out tomorrow afternoon.
And then Northern Illinois on Sunday. What do the Huskies look like?
John is in his second year, so they're going to look a little different than they have in the past in terms of some roster turnover, but they're going to be a pretty direct team and try to put us under a lot of pressure to try to keep the ball on their half of the field. But John and I have had a history before, so I think we're going to be all right there.
Okay, good. Grace, let's talk a little bit about your journey to Central Michigan. You're from Battle Creek, not too far away. Central Michigan soccer, was that on the radar for you as you were in high school?
It was ever since I was, maybe a sophomore in high school. I fell in love with the place and the program, and I've really enjoyed my time here.
And I would imagine as a goalie, you talk about a pressure position for you. You've got a team maybe that's struggling a little bit to score goals for you, and you know that if one gets behind you, that could be it, right? I mean, it's that tight sometimes, isn't it? And that's got to apply a lot of pressure. How do you handle that?
You just got to keep perspective. You just do the best you can, and you do your job and hope that things work out and that the offense can do their job as well and take one play at a time. A lot of deep breaths.
Describe Grace's play for me in her style. I've seen different goalies act. Some are very, very aggressive. Some maybe not so much. Some seem like they're always screaming at their defenders. Where does she fall into that category?
I think it is Grace's sort of dignity and poise and calm that really radiates through the team. She's very deliberate, methodical, and very reflective, but she demands a tremendous amount of respect for her teammates because she holds herself in such a high standard.
And what about being a goalie? When did that start for you? When did you know that's something you wanted to do? And how do you prepare yourself for that position?
I was kind of thrown into it when I was about 12 years old. I think that's how most goalies start out. But I played goalie and I played on the field all the way until I got here, and then just played goalie, and I just kind of fell in love with it.
Do you have to have a special makeup for that position? I mean, you can't. It seems like you just couldn't put anybody back there.
No, the story truly about Grace playing in both positions, playing on the field and then the goal, is really truly one of those stories that I think in this day and age, parents are so excited to put their children into one position and have them specialize. And again, I think a story like Grace's is somebody who is playing at the absolute highest level of Division I soccer as a goalkeeper. Played in both positions growing up. So it truly takes a special athlete to play the position with a really special psychological makeup.
How would you describe your style of play? Are you a goaltender that is somebody that is somewhat aggressive, that will come out a little bit and go after balls, or do you like to sit back a little bit more? What's your style?
I wouldn't say I'm too aggressive. I mean, I pick my moments. Sometimes you have to be. Sometimes you just kind of sit back and take it all in and just be smart about it.
It's get a little dangerous sometimes though, when you're thinking about jumping into one of those scrums as the ball's coming down and you got defenders going for it and everybody piled into a pile.
Well, you just can't really think about it at the time. You just kind of go with your gut and throw your body out there.
Do you have heroes? Do you have somebody that you look at as kind of a model for you on what you'd like to be when you look at soccer?
I have a great appreciation for the women's national team, and I have watched games over the year. I wouldn't say I have one person in particular, but just try to be my best every day.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by, Coach. Happy birthday.
Don, thank you very much for having us.
Good luck this weekend. That's going to do it for the CMU Sideliners. For everybody here, I'm Don Scheido. Thank you so much for listening on the Fabiano Brothers Central Michigan IMG Sports Network.